welcome to June's TeaCosyFolk vlog with me, Suzy Cowper, and I'm in the summer house, and that's great, but it's not the greatest weather. I'm not going to talk about the weather. They've obviously sent us the wrong weather. It's June, it's supposed to be flaming hot and nice and warm, but it's not, but there we go. Anyway, I've got lots of things to show you. I've got tea cozies and chocolate orange cozies and things I'm working on and a knitting tip and lots of lovely things. I'm going to talk to you about simply knitting as well. So I've got all these things to talk to you about and to show you, so I'm going to crack on. And actually the first thing I'm going to mention is I've been doing something for fun. I've been doing a bit of crochet, you know, just for a change from the knitting, still yarn related. But look, I've made myself some sleeves. Look, I really like them. I'd crocheted my daughter some a couple of years ago, and hers were much more simple. They were just trebles and chains. But, you know, I've had sleeve envy. She keeps wearing them and they look really cute and they're not too warm. And I thought, I want a pair. So I've made me some. Mine have got like a double V-stitch and chains. And then I've done, you know, that little tulipy pattern around the cuff. I didn't do it from a pattern. I just kind of winged it and worked out what I needed to do. But it's really nice, you know, because when you're of a certain age, you don't really get completely cold, you know, so the main part of you stays warm, but actually your arms get a bit chilly. And I know they look really holy and they don't look like they're warm, but they're really warm. They keep my arms warm. So, you know, when you want to wear a short sleeve dress, but actually it's not warm enough for a short sleeve dress, you can just pop your sleeves on and they're brilliant. And I've had a look online and you can get crochet patterns for sleeves, and so go make yourself some. They're brilliant. If you can't crochet, you need to learn. But yeah, they're really nice and they're just cute, aren't they? And I thought black would go with everything. It was a nightmare to do because black's not nice, is it? And then I thought, you know, with all the little colours, it looks a bit gypsy, doesn't it? I love gypsy and I love the little colours. And anyway, so that is my sleeves. So just in case you were wondering. But now back to work. What I'm supposed to be showing you. This is, you know, the TeaCosyFolk knitting pattern calendar for 2025. And this is June's project. And it's a little octopus with his long legs. And he's got bobbles for tentacles, and he's got two boggly eyes, and you know, you can do anything with the tentacles really, you know, because you can just wind them up and tack them, and then you can have fun with the tentacles. And he fits on a Terry's chocolate orange, and that's the calendar pattern for June. So if you want to knit an octopus, pop along, get the calendar, but you've probably already got it. So if you've knitted the calendar, the octopus from the calendar, put a picture on your social media with hashtag TeaCosyFolk and I'll be able to see it and I'll be able to have a look. I'd like that. So that's the octopus. This tea cozy knitting pattern will be on the website this Thursday coming, which is the 19th of June. And it's Jane Austen. And you will have seen her, I will have had her on the vlogs before when I was making her and designing her. But here she is, all finished, and the knitting pattern will be available to download on Thursday. And because it's Jane Austen's 250th birthday this year, so you know it's a big one. And she's got a book, don't know which one it is. It's probably Pride and Prejudice or maybe Emma. And yeah, and she fits a medium-sized teapot, and she's really cute, isn't she? I love her. I do love the old Victorian style, and because they lend themselves to teapots, don't they, with the big dresses. But yeah, she's really cute. She's got a book. She's pleased. She's got a book. She likes reading. She likes writing. So that is the Jane Austen tea cozy, and the knitting pattern will be available on Thursday. The Simply Knitting magazine came out last Thursday, and this tea cozy knitting pattern is in that magazine. Well, it's not in the magazine. They made a little supplement booklet, things to knit for Dad, and there was a tie and a cardi and the cheeseburger tea cosy knitting pattern. And here it is in all its glory. And you know, it's a cheeseburger. I suppose it's a double cheeseburger. There's 2 burgers, there's a piece of cheese, there's 2 rows of lettuce and slices of tomato as well, you know, so it's got everything. And it's a really chunky looking tea cosy. And you know, most of it is all knitted in. So you knit the lettuce leaves and the cheese slice and put them on a spare needle. And then as you're knitting the main cosy, the pattern tells you when to include them into the knitting. You hold them in front of the work and then knit from 2 needles. So you pick up a stitch from the first needle, a stitch from the second needle, and knit them together, and it joins on. And it's brilliant because it means there's not much sewing at the end, and it makes it really structural. And I'll just show you. Look, you see, it just stands up on its own. And inside, look, you can see that there's no stitching really, it's all just knitted in. So it means that you don't have to do much sewing up at the end. The tomatoes, they're sewn up separately and they're sewn on. But that is it. The rest of it is all knitted in, you know. And then you've got the bun on the top with all the sesame seeds. You do have to embroider the sesame seeds on, look. So that does take a bit of time, but you know, it looks really good. You wouldn't have to do the sesame seeds if you didn't want to. If you really don't like sewing, don't do the sesame seeds, it's fine. But yeah, so that's the hamburger tea cosy, and that was in last week's Simply Knitting magazine supplement. So if you want to knit one, that's the only place you can get the knitting pattern at the moment, but in 7 months' time it will be on the website. So I'll send out a newsletter anyway, so when it's on the website you can download it directly. I'll let you know. This is the Little League baseball player, and he was always looking up at the sky. He was requested from a lady who lives in America and wanted to knit a tea cosy of a Little League player. Now, the Little League, obviously, as it sounds, Little League, they're children that are playing. So their helmet is, you know, a bit of protective headgear to protect children, and they're developing brains. So, you know, there's guards coming down to protect their cheeks and their little peak. And yeah, so that's the main thing that kind of stands him apart. And also, I've kind of made his baseball bat oversized. So to give the impression that he's smaller than he is, you know, because I can't change the size of him because he's got to fit a medium-sized teapot. But this is the little baseball player, and he's got little stripes on his sleeves, and he's got blue gloves on, and he's holding his baseball bat, and there's some structural support in the baseball bat that's knitted. And so when you kind of roll it, and then you put this structural support in with stuffing around, and then encase it with all the knitting and sew it up. But it's to give it a bit of support to keep it upright, because, you know, after use it would go a bit like a limp noodle, and that wouldn't be any good. But this is the Little League baseball player, and he will be on the website to download soon. I can't remember the date. I'll have a look and let you know in the comments below, and I'll add the date of when he's going to be available. At the moment, I'm working on the Mime Artist Tea Cosy. And you know the mime artists, they're like, you know, and I kind of think, you know, when you're trying to communicate across the garden and you don't want to shout because, you know, all the neighbours will hear, you're doing the mime, do you want tea? Do you want tea? Pour in the tea, you know, and we do that miming, don't we, to try and communicate, and the person's going back, yeah, I love tea. You know, but I kind of thought it'd be good, wouldn't it, for that? And so this is my Mime Tea Cosy, and he's wearing traditional stripy top and the white gloves and the beret. And, you know, it's funny, I've always thought that they were French, but actually when you look back and find out, you know, the origins, they're actually ancient Greek. It wasn't till later that a couple of Frenchmen would, you know, took on the mime artist and took on that role and kind of made it their own. So that's why we think of it as being French. But really, when you think about it, you know, Charlie Chaplin and Mr. Bean, you know, really they're mime artists. You know, they're exaggerating their movements and making us laugh, and it's comedy, and they're, you know, it's just all exaggerated and silent, and that's kind of the mime artist thing. So, you know, so we still enjoy a bit of mime even nowadays. Anyway, back to the Tea Cosy. So here he is. It's just in black, white and red. I really love that, actually. It's really striking, and you can see he's wearing a pair of braces that make a Y at the back, and you know, you can do anything with his hands. Ooh, you can, tea, would you like tea? And he's got a white face. Traditionally, they whitened their faces, I suppose, as the pre-runner to clowns, you know. So he's got a white face. I put a couple of pins in for where his eyes are going to go, but because they're not staying. But yeah, so that's him, and he's got his hair and then his beret on the top, and he's the mime artist. And I've nearly finished him. He's, you know, I'm just at the sewing up stage, and I've got to test knit and do another one, just to make sure what I've written down actually works. And then he'll be ready for the website, which I suppose will be in July now. By the time I've done all that, it'll be July. So that's the mime Tea Cosy. And actually, it's this Tea Cosy that I'm going to show you this month's tip on. So now it's time for the June TeaCosyFolk knitting tip. So I've just got to dismantle him a bit, because I'm going to show you, you know, the actual knitting of the main cozy. Oh, this is tied on, look. Right, are we down to the bare bones? Oh, can you hear the rain? It's starting to rain now. Okay. So that's that. Oh, there's another pin. I do like the big ended pins because you can see where they are in the knitted. You know, if you use little ones, you can't really see where they are. So it is good to have big, you know, pins to pin things together. So I'm going to show you how to start the Tea Cosy. Just put my specs on, otherwise I can't see. Now then, just so you know, I've already sewn up the bottom parts. Look, and you know, it does tell you how many centimetres on the pattern to sew up, but actually if you sew up 6 rows, it usually is correct. So 6 rows up is what I've sewn there on either side, and I did it with mattress stitch, which I'll show you in a moment, and that works then. Now what I'm doing is, if you look at the teapot, the anatomy of the teapot, if you look there, this finger is higher than this finger. So the whole, you don't know which way round you're going to put your tea cosy on the teapot, do you? You know, you just put it on. So, and you don't want to have a rule of, oh, it has to go on this way. So really you need to allow that it will go on both way rounds. So you need to have this as the marker, because this will fit either end because it's lower. So if you knitted all the way down to there, or if you put it on the other way around, it would pucker here because this needs more room. Is that all clear? Clear as mud. But anyway, that's the rule. The rule is put it on this way to sew up, and then you sew down to the handle. So I've already sewn the head stabilizer part, and I've just gone down to the, you know, there's head stabilizers knitted in rib. So I've gone down to the bottom of that rib. It's just hollow at the bottom. It's not, you know, you don't have to do anything to it actually to be a head stabilizer. And it's better, you know, when you're putting the head on, I've found that you can put your finger, you know, right into the head stabilizer. So, oh, I've lost my head now. But then when you put the head on, you can use that to push the stabiliser into the head, you know, where the stuffing is. And, you know, it really helps actually. And now I'm just going to thread a needle up. And I'm going to work down to the handle. And what you do is, it doesn't matter, I know it's black and white, and I've got white thread, and I've got to knit the black rows as well as the white rows, but it's okay because I'm going to use mattress stitch and you won't see it. So what we do is you go through a couple of stitches on that side, and then you come across and go through here, look, and it joins up, pull it and it joins, and you can't see that white, the yarn I used for sewing up. So now we go back in, and doing mattress stitch like this is a much better way of sewing it up, especially with the stripes, because you know you want the stripes all to line up, and if they didn't all line up, they'd stick out like a sore thumb. And this way, because you're working from the right side of the work, you can see that there, oh, that looks not lining up very well, is it? So I can go back now and I can undo that easily and fix it. Now, had I put right sides together and then back stitch down, I wouldn't have known that that had happened until I turned it the right way around, and then I'd think, and then you'd have to unpick the lot or put up with it. Now, because this side is already on black, it needs to join on black on this side. So I don't go to the white because that would create a step. I need to go in this black. See, there. And then when you pull up, it joins the two black ones. So now we're going into the black and out into the white, and that joins that black. Now I can just be in white on this side because it's white on that side, look. So it'll match that stripe up perfectly. You see, you can't tell that I've had to sew a seam down here. And that's what we're aiming for, you know, the invisibility of it. I'm going to get wet when I go back into the house. I can hear the rain, it's getting bad again. And so I'm in white, so I stitch through white. And we're getting down to the handle now, we're getting quite close. I hope you've got better weather than we've got. For June, I hope you've got lovely blistering sunshine. If I had got sunshine, I'd be outside gardening. So I suppose the good thing is about the rain is it does make me want to stay indoors and make tea cozies. Huh. Right, so I've joined that now. All the stripes line up and you can't see where the stitching is. Right, and on the inside there's the seam. Now I'm going to finish off in the seam so that you don't see my finishing off stitches on the right side of the tea cozy. There. So do a couple of stitches on top of each other, and then I never cut the yarn where I've finished off. I take the yarn further away from the site. See, so my finishing off is there, that's the two stitches on top of each other, and I'm actually going to snip it over there with my scissors, there, so that it's away from that side. So that is, see, it fits on both sides now. That's my sewn up seam, and that will fit on that side, and it fits on this side. You see, and you can see on this side, look, it doesn't need much sewing. I've only got to do that. It's only a couple of rows. But again, I'll do it from the front, mattress stitch, and down to the handle to make sure that it's a really good fit. And although, you know, I do put, I think it says to sew down 9.5 centimetres, because I think that is probably about right for that. But I never actually sew it up myself like that. I always put it on the teapot and sew it down to the handle, because then I know it will fit. And you know, and that's what we're aiming for, isn't it? That it's perfect fit. Oh, that's a bit tough there. So fasten off. So it fits on both ways. The head stabiliser in the middle. See, that covers the teapot lid knob perfectly. And that's today's tip. And that's it for this month's vlog. I'll have more to show you next month. I'm going to be earlier next month because I've been really late. It's the 15th of June, so I am a bit late. So I'll try and claw it back to, you know, usually it was the first week of the month, so I need to get back into that a bit. So I'll be earlier next month, promise. And I'll have more to show you. And oh, I've also sent off some more Tea Cosy designs. Well, not just Tea Cosy designs actually. I've sent off some more designs to Simply Knitting. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, they'll like a couple of them so I can be in the magazine again, you know, in the second half of the year, especially at Christmas. I love to knit a Christmas Tea Cosy. So we'll see how it goes, fingers crossed. Hopefully they'll say, oh yes, we like them. So we'll see. It's always a bit nerve-wracking. You never know, do you? But, but it's all good fun anyway. So I'll be back next month with more chocolate orange cozies and tea cozies. And oh, I've been asked to make another little storybook. Not a storybook, you know, the story sacks. And they have little characters and things. I made a 3 Little Pigs one, and I made, oh, I'm a little teapot, short and stout. I made a little doll. You can get the knitting pattern for the little doll on the website. But I've been asked to make 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. So I thought I'm going to make that, and I'll include that in next month's vlog. And also I thought I'd write down the pattern just in case anybody else wants to make it, because it's such a lovely little nursery rhyme, isn't it? Do you know the one? 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed, one fell off and knocked his head. Mum called the doctor. The doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. That's the closest you're going to get to hearing me sing, because my singing's awful. But anyway, that's all to come in July. So stay safe and well, and I'll see you in July. And thank you for watching and coming along, and thank you for your support. And I'll see you soon. So goodbye. See ya. Happy knitting.